After Prince Ikenna left the village, a strange wind blew through the whole town, and immediately the queen's ghosts raised from the grave and stood. The ghost walked through the village and vanished into the air. King Obi was happy and still celebrating his victory. The next day the elders gathered at the king palace for meeting as usual. King Obi stood up and started addressing the elders. "My good elders, I want to say a special thanks to you all for choosing me as your new king. I promised to serve the village peacefully," the Obi said. My king, you have spoken well, and may your ancestors be with you in your new journey," an elder said, and sat down. "Thanks, and I want to announce that I am putting Mr. Alfred as my new assistant. He will also be in charge of everything going on in this village," the king said. Immediately, all the elders began clapping and congratulating Mr. Alfred for his new position. "My king, you will live long. I don't know what I have done to deserve this kind of position. I really appreciate this." "My king," Mr. Alfred said, pretending. As the discussion was going on, suddenly, 2 villagers ran to the palace and knelt down in front of the king, breathing heavily. "My king! My king! You will live long!" "We went to the river to fetch some water, but the river turned into blood completely," the villagers said. "Abomination! Are you sure about this?" an elder asked. "Yes, we saw it clearly." "This cannot be true, women. Are you sure you saw the right thing?" the king asked. "Yes, your highness. Take me to the river. I want to see this with my own eyes." "Abomination!" the king shouted. Soon 3 guards followed King with some other elders, and they went to the river to see clearly. When they arrived, the river was completely changed to blood, just exactly like the villagers have said. "This is not right! What do we do now?" "What do we do now?" the king shouted. "My king, I think we should inform the chief priest first," Mr. Alfred said. "That a nice idea, Mr. Alfred. I will do that immediately," the king said. So the king instructed 2 of his guards to go and inform the chief priest about the incident. The 2 guards left immediately as instructed. While the guards were on their way to the chief priest, the ghost of the queen appeared at their front with an angry face. The guards became afraid and started running, but the ghost quickly fired them, and they died immediately. The king and his companions was still waiting for the arrival of the guards, but the guards was no longer coming back. "What is keeping the guards so long?" the king asked. "They should have been back by now," another elder said. The king sent 2 more guards to go and find out what is keeping the other guards, so the guards went immediately. While they were going, they saw the body of the other guards lying dead on floor. They were shocked and wanted to run back, but the queen appeared and struck them too, and they failed and died. The anxious king was becoming more concerned as the 4 guards have not returned. Immediately, a villager ran to the king and knelt down. "My king, I saw 4 of your guards lying dead on floor with their heads cut off," the villager said. "Oh, my ancestors! What is going on?" "What is going on?" Mr. Alfred shouted. "4 of my guards dead with their heads cut off, are you sure?" the king asked. "Yes, my king, am sure. I saw them while returning from the farm. Take me there. I want to see if this is true," the king instructed. So the villager took the king to the spot where the guards were lying dead, and the king brought their corpse home for burial. "My elders, we just got a message that our rivers turned into blood, and now 4 of my guardians were killed without any trace." "What is happening?" the king asked. "Our rivers turned into blood, and now 4 of my guardians were killed without any trace. What is happening? What is happening?" "I am confused," the anxious king asked. My king, you have to calm down. There must surely be a reason for this," an elder said. "If there is a reason, then how do we find out?" We have tried to reach the chief priest, but our guards ended up in pain, the king said. But my king, what exactly is happening? Is the gods angry with us? If yes, then what is our offense? Another elder asked, confused. Shut your mouth and listen. The gods are not angry with us. If you don't have anything reasonable to say, just keep quiet. Mr. Alfred was fired. I'm sorry, Mr. Alfred. I was just adding a suggestion I felt was correct. But think of it. Our rivers were in blood, and 4 of our men died on the same day. Only ancestor can do this, the elder explained in the future. Like I said, just shut your mouth if you don't have anything reasonable to say, said Mr. Alfred. Well, Mr. Alfred's wife and his children were busy working on their farm that day, but suddenly the queen appeared and struck a palm tree in their farm. The palm tree fell immediately on the son of Mr. Alfred. Suddenly, Mr. Alfred's wife ran to the palace with tears all over her face, breathing heavily at the same time. Woman, what is the problem? Why are you running and crying at the same time? Mr. Alfred asked his wife. My husband, the worst has happened. I'm totally finished, Mr. Alfred's wife added. Talk to me. My wife, what is the problem? Why are you crying? Mr. Alfred asked anxiously. My husband. I went to the farm with the children and suddenly the palm tree on our land fell and landed on your only son. Abomination! Chai, 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 all the elders shouted. Woman, are you sure about this? The king asked. Yes, your royal highness, she answered with tears. This is unbelievable. How did that palm tree fall? That tree was planted by my forefathers for many years without falling. How can it decide to fall today? I need to go and see my son immediately, Mr. Alfred said to the king. Mr. Alfred quickly ran out of the palace with his wife and headed back home straight. When he arrived, he saw his son lying on the ground in so much pain that he was shaking and struggling to breathe. No! Don't do this! Please stay with me, my son. You are my only son. Please, Mr. Alfred shouted. But soon the son starts vomiting blood from his mouth, struggling with his life till death comes, and he gives up and dies. Mr. Alfred's wife started crying and rolling herself on the ground. Everyone, please come and help me. My only son is dead, Mr. Alfred's wife shouted helplessly. Alfred stood with folded hands, asking, Ancestors, why have you forsaken me? He shakes his head twice and walks out of his compound sadly. Alfred went back to the palace and delivered the sad news to the king and his companions. The worst has happened, my king. My son didn't survive the accident. He died, Mr. Alfred said sadly. Oh, such sad news. I am sorry, my true friend, for your loss, the king answered. In just a day, 5 people died a miserable death in our village. Something is wrong somewhere, an elder said. My elders, I think it is high time we go and see the chief priest by ourselves. This issue is getting serious, the king said. So the king, the elders, and some palace guards went to meet the chief priest at his residence. But to their surprise, they met the dead queen sitting at the shrine, and the chief priest dead, with his head cut off at his shrine. Immediately, everyone scattered and started running and shouting. The guards were running on their own, and the king was running like a cheater. All the elders scattered into the bush. The queen was busy making them more uncomfortable. She would appear in front of an elder, and the elder would turn in another direction and start running again. Some elders ran till they passed their own houses out of fear. The king ran till he ran out of the entire village. The guards dropped their weapons and scattered into the streets like animals. It was not an easy day for all of them.
The king ran till he ran out of the entire village. The guards dropped their weapons and scattered into the streets like animals. It was not an easy day for all of them. The king didn't stop running until he left the entrance of his village and landed in another village. He quickly put his crown back on his head, dusted his legs, and behaved like nothing was happening. People who were passing wondered why a king would walk alone without his guards. "Greetings, your highness." The people greeted and bowed down to him. "Greetings, good people of the Ogidi kingdom. My name is King Obi, and I am looking for a childhood friend of mine called Afam," the king said. "Oh, Afam, yes, we know him. He is from this village. Do you want me to take you to his house?" One of the people asked. "Yes, please," the anxious king answered. So the king followed the villager. "Here's the third tree. Just go by your right side, and you will find Afam's house," the villager said, going back. So King Obi went exactly and truly, and he found Afam, his friend, sitting outside his compound. "Afam, my very true friend," the king shouted from afar. "Great King Obi, what brought you to my house today? It has been a long time since I saw you, and I heard you are now a king," Afam said. "Oh, yes, my friend. I am now a king, but there's fire on the mountain," Obi said. "Haha, stop playing, Mr. King. You are a king, and you can't have any other problems. You have food, a house, money, and you can get any woman you want at any time." "You have powers, Mr. King," Afam said. "Afam, you won't understand. There is a big fire on the mountain. I have messed up my life, and I need to fix it immediately." "My king, I don't understand. Please, what is this fire you are talking about?" Afam asked. King Obi explained everything to Afam, both from the beginning and the present moment. "Obi, you went too far, so you have the mind to kill, and you don't even know that there is surely a consequence for that?" "Afam, I thought my parents would forgive me. I never knew that my mother would hunt me again," Obi said. "All because of a throne, you killed your parents. That was a strong decision. If you can kill, it also means you should know how to escape," Afam said. "Please, Afam, don't make fun of me. I need help, and that is the most important thing." "Well, Obi, I remember when we were kids, you always gave me food and new clothes because my parents were poor, but yours were rich. So, because of that, I will help you," Afam said. "Thank you, my friend. So tell me what we do now," King Obi asked. "Well, you have two options to choose between. Either you confess to your village, or you continue as their king." "Please, I cannot confess. The village will not forgive me. They will bury me alive too," King said afraidly. "Then you have to continue as their king," Afam said. "Yes, I like that. But how can I continue when my mother's ghost is not letting me rest?" "Don't worry, Mr. King. I know what to do about that. There is a herbalist in this village that can help you with this problem," Afam said. "Really, please, how do we go about that?" "I need to act as fast as possible," said the king. "Since the day is still young, then let us visit the great herbalist. He will definitely help you." So Afam and the king went far into the forest in search of the great herbalist, and in no time they arrived at the shrine. Immediately the herbalist saw them. He began to laugh at them. "I know what brought you two here," the herbalist said. "Thank you, great one. Please, as you can see, we need your help," Afam said. "You killed your father and framed your mother for the crime, and she got buried alive by the villagers, and now her spirit is after you," said the herbalist. "Yeah, great one. Please help me," Obi said sadly. "Don't worry, boy. You are standing on the ground of wonders. But are you ready for this?" the herbalist asked. "Yes," King Obi nodded without wasting time. "This is going to take you 7 days. I will cook you in a pot, and from that day on, no demon or spirit can take your soul or make you scared ever again," the herbalist said. "Do you think the plan will work?" Subscribe to our channel to be notified for the next episode.